Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Metaworld News. This is a show where we look at headlines from to do with changes in the world of virtual reality, and in particularly social virtual reality spaces or worlds, depending on how you view these sort of things. Now, these are actually our headlines for the week ending today. Yes, that was clever, wasn't
Oh,
it?
that
You
works.
still yeah, that works. No, but seriously, that was deliberate actually. It's meant to be my flipping joke of the confusing season. Right, it's actually our headlines for the fortnight or the 2 weeks ending 30th of December 2018. This time next week we'll be in a new year, but we
Oh,
weren't here last week because of the holidays. So we debated whether to come on today, but there's just a little bit of news, so we thought we'd do it, and then we'll be starting off full whack again next week in the new year. So a bit of headlines for week ending beginning of year ish.
nice.
Right, let's just get on with it. As I say, quiet week really, as you might expect. It probably wasn't quiet in the terms of consumption and opening of parcels and otherwise partying, but it was quiet where the news media was concerned. And some news, of course, will happen regardless of whether you're trying to have a holiday or not. Tsunamis and earthquakes and stuff like that happen anyway, and they don't always fall on the convenient days for newscasters. But I'm pleased to say that in the world of the virtual worlds, most important news falls on convenient days for the likes of me.
Mm,
Very profound, that.
very
In
good.
fact,
Very good.
some people might take offence at what I've just said. Okay, let's get on with it. I'm going to actually go back 2 weeks. You can follow me, by the way, on Twitter. We're at twitter.com/Malburns. That's MAL and then BURNS. It's all one word on Twitter, but in real life it's two words. It's a first name and a last name, if you see what I mean. We also have an additional feed at twitter.com/Metaworld News. Again, all one word after the title of this particular show. And between the two of them, you can follow any links I mention if I don't read them out, and just get the stuff on a daily basis. Really, MetaWorld News is more concerned with interactive, social, creative worlds. Whereas my feed is, runs the whole gamut of user interfacing technologies. As long as it's new and interesting, you don't. If you're looking for 20 different headset reviews per day, don't look to me for the links. They lie elsewhere, those things do.
Well,
Right,
Samuel,
brilliant.
sorry to interrupt, but I hear a little bit of sound of bumping against the microphone. Is there possibly a cord?
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, this microphone doesn't move, but on the other hand, I suppose I do. Let me take my jacket with the collar off. There we are. That might help. It might have been the collar on my.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yep. I think that was it.
It might have been yeah. Yeah, it might have just been lightly brushing against it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, because it sort of sticks up, like a fleecy thing.
Ah,
Actually, a
okay.
bit like the jacket I'm wearing in World here.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
you can, and my headset has a microphone that comes out just above, on the chin to the left side
Ah.
of
Mm-hmm.
my mouth. It's at about mouth level, but off to the side. And if you can imagine this jacket and me wearing a mic like that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can, you can imagine how easy they are to collide.
Yep.
So there you are, a demonstration virtually of the problem I just had that James just pointed out. See, we can do interactive demonstrations here in virtual worlds. Bet you didn't know that.
And
Right.
broadcasting best practices. That's right.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Oh, by the way, this is what I consider a silly season. I didn't actually know what day it was until 2 hours before we came on air. So if you hear me giggling and otherwise cracking meaningless jokes that therefore aren't jokes at all, you'll know what's going on. It's called a silly season.
Hmm.
Right. I'm now going to attempt to read the first headline again. Brilliant Soul wants to put VR controller in your shoes. Brilliant Soul is brilliant and then SOLE. No mystical stuff of traveling souls here. Brilliant Soul wants to put VR control in your shoes. This is supposed to Road to VR. Um, Moving around in VR environments, etc., etc. You'll need to press a thumbstick or touchpad. That's well and good, but it's not really the most immersive way of getting around in a large versional space. So, Brilliant Soul, a North Carolina-based VR startup, is working to bring VR controllers to the soles of your feet. And well, hap- haptic motors, wireless charging. The list goes on. You can imagine what they're up to, can't you? I mean, sensors in your feet, well, in your shoes. Why not? Anyway, read more about that at roadtovr.com or follow the link in my feed. Right, I can now flip back. James, by the way, maybe showing you on camera. Basically, it's a section of my Flipboard thing which collects some of my own links together so they can get to them easily and just show a bit off to you.
Hmm.
This page I've changed to now is particularly boring, but there we go. Can't have everything. You can't
Nice
have everything.
green picture, though.
Yes, of what? I'm not quite sure. I can't tell what. Oh, actually, I do. I do. This goes with the article below it called Web Bots. This is um, 18th December. Oliver Michael, Cyberbotics, Calm let previous WebBot users know that the platform has now been made open source via GitHub after 20 years of proprietary licensing. Um, AI Austin's blog is the blog we're reading here. It's actually blog.inf.ed.ac.uk, which is an academic address for Austin's blog. Um, or get it by the link. This is only a marginal interest to us, I think. I mean, as you can probably gather, it's been commercially licensed for 20 years. And I suspect that it is made open source now because um, it has no economic benefits for anybody to want to keep it non-open source. Go figure. That's just my guess. Right, voicesofvr.com continued over the holiday period, quite a lot of them actually. I picked out a couple, I think, here. One, 722, was IDFA's Doc Lab and the creative treatment of actuality. If there's one thing I can't fault this podcast for coming up with is, regardless of the actual content of the particular editions, they come up with some particularly nifty headlines, don't they? Um, anyway, the creative treatment of actuality. That's got a certain ring to it. I'm afraid that over the holiday I have not been listening to these, so I can't really say. I think it was just intuition that told me to post this because it seems to be within, basically within our realm of reference, and anything that's illustrated by two pussycats cannot be all bad, can it? Right.
No.
Okay. um, check out your check out your travel destination in VR before you book. Right. Okay, that one's on the feed. I can't tell you where it goes, but I've got a feeling it's about an app called Resort, Rizort, and I have a feeling we covered that 2 weeks ago, so it's not really at all um, recent. And it may be the case for this next one. It says 1 week, but this is supposed to uploadvr.com, and it's about a company called Stepping Stone VR. They apparently are using multi-platform electromagnetic propulsion to fight sim sickness. Now, I have to admit, I'm not quite sure about the electromagnetic propulsion, let alone the multi-platform aspect. In fact, don't know bloody thing about this actually. It does include an explanation, which I have no intention of reading out to you. That's not what we're here for. But if you want to know more, check out uploadvr.com. And according to the loose record I've got here, that post was approximately a week ago. If when you get to the site, you have to look for it, that is. All right, let's have a little flip. No, sorry, I'm scrolling in the one direction as usual. Right, okay. Okay, there was a tweet about this morning actually, but I don't. I guess I didn't post it again. 2 days ago, this one. Digitalbodies.net. Digital bodies is all one word, and then the DOS is a DOS, as you might expect, followed by net. Feel real. Yeah, we like to feel real, don't we? But that is actually the name of a product. They're working out a sense of touch and physical haptic feedback in virtuality, but their long term goal has always been the ability to smell in VR. And Feel Real have a Feel Real Kickstarter, which is apparently they've figured out how they're going to do it, and now they want to raise money to make it a Kickstarter goal thing. And from what I gather, you'll end up with sort of like your standard Oculus Rift or 5 VR or whatever other contraption you got strapped to your head, and this thing kind of slots in underneath, basically with a couple of holes going into your nose, and apparently it can generate kind of smells that you are breathing in while you're experiencing what's going on.
Mm.
Other than that, I'm not quite sure how it all works. So what I do know is that you fill this thing in, with about four specially designed scents, which work a bit like cyan, magenta, yellow, black inks in a printer. They're scents that are deliberately designed to be able to mix in varying quantities with other scents to create the gamut of approximation of the smells we might want to experience in
Mm.
real life, be it anything from a smoky fire in a burning wood through to maybe a disinfectant on the surface or something. Um, and that, obviously, in my opinion, would be the way to approach it because it's like an aromatherapy where you use mixable products rather than just mix individual products. You can only live so long with strawberry and lemon mixed together. It always smells like strawberry and a bit of lemon, or lemon with a bit of strawberry, or well, you get the idea. Um, so it's obviously the right way to go. Um, Personally, I think the way they designed this contraption, it basically, if you're sitting in your room, inviting some friends into your house, you will no longer look like an Oculus zombie. You look something more akin to Darth Vader, because it takes up the lower bit too.
Mm.
Um, but some people buy Darth Vader costumes, so maybe if you buy this instead, you've got a double function. Kill two birds with one stone. Get
Indeed.
Darth Vader become Darth Vader and get to smell nice. Or at least think it's very nice, because I don't know where the smell goes to anybody else. Um, it
Fascinating.
sounds like fun, and I'm sure if you've got a surround vision video where you're walking through some woods and stuff like that, it'd be nice to hear, you've got the tweeting birds and stuff like that. It would be nice to smell, dead wood and maybe a musky smell or some faint wood burning, or in autumn, for example, when leaves are falling, there's a very
Yeah.
distinct smell. um, to be able to conjure up those would be quite good, but I think for the again, it's like everything VR, it's all part of a possible solution that seems to be forever beyond our grasp,
Yeah.
the interoperability of these things. um, if, for example, you were able to code a path that somebody might be walking in a computer game with trigger points that will create the mix of smell you need at that exact point in the game, then this could start to become useful. You move away from one smell and into another smell due to cues in the environment you're navigating, sending the signal to the kind of mix of the printer, the smell printer. But just the idea of having it on its own, I don't notice, but it's like a novelty that I can see wearing off very quickly.
Yeah, the
Somebody
applications
will,
seem challenging to
yeah,
understand just how, but I don't know. I'm not experienced with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Neither am I. I mean, it would be interesting to see. I mean, for example, Dizzy Banjo and I, back in the Second Life days, oh, it must have been over 10 years ago now, decided we wanted to create some perfumes for advertise for the
Mm.
fashionista mob. And we did it with sound. Or the idea was, we never really got that far with it, but the prototypes simply work with sound. Those of you know Dizzy Banjo know the kind of stuff he does, and the thing was a bit like a subsonic or barely audible sound that somebody will be wearing. And when you came into the proximity of their proximity, you would just sense
Mm.
this certain something that would be maybe like smell. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that was the idea. Anyway, so it's all part of the mix. But you know, I can see standalone VR things where, as you say, you're just in a closed globe and you're walking around a wood or something like that, and they feed you smell. Or even a real estate agent trying to sell you a house, you know, where they've done a 360 video of it. Um, if in the real world, there's two things that are guaranteed to make people like the look of the house you're selling, right? And it has nothing to do with the look of the house you're selling. It's fresh baked bread and fresh coffee.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
Or cookies,
it, yeah, if
biscuits.
you imagine that you're getting people to visit a perspective, you know, a reconstruction photo reconstruction of an apartment. Instead of going to look at it, they walk around it virtually. If there's a smell of fresh coffee and fresh bread accompanying that experience, then I suspect people will look more favorably on that environment. When they look out the window and realize that they're overlooking an oil factory, they might change their mind. But for at least for a short period of time, the bread and coffee might fool them. So, moving on.
Fascinating. Yep. Yep.
That's Feel Real, Smelling VR, and the accompanying essay I just gave you. You can find the actual post at digitalbodies.net. Right, flipping. Oh, hang on. I haven't finished with that page, shall I? Right, 4 days ago. Organise, read, and share what matters to you. Oh, well, that's a bit of a thing. I don't know what that is. I'm clicking on it to see. Um, well, assuming Windows wants to load it. Oh, it's hypergrid business. Where else would it be? Oh, I should have known it was this one. Right. It's a post. It's written by somebody called Aidan Yee. Apparently, Maria Koloff, she has a fairly extended group now of writers who, you know, have permission to, I guess, log into hypergrid business and publish articles. And so this isn't one of Maria's. Um, I must say the picture is very familiar. I guess it's stock library stuff. But this is about the future of virtual reality beyond videos and games. And it can't be said often enough. This is almost what hypergrid business stands for. Um, looking at various examples here, which I think kind of narrows the focus rather than widens it. But of course, you know, virtual worlds are really beyond video and beyond games. They may embody certain characteristics of those particular old media, but are actually moving beyond them, as is any creative or space or collaborative space, really. Where you can do things that you just can't do in the real world. So that's at hypergridbusiness.com, of course, and the quick link is in my feed. Making the world a better place with virtual reality. Um, I bet you this goes to hypergrid again. No, it doesn't. Right, fair enough. I'm being flippant and not right. Alice Bonacio, writing in, I think this is Medium. Yes, it is. Yes, if I get rid of the cookie notice, I can tell. Making the world a better place with virtuality. Alice Bonacio writes a lot on virtuality and stuff. So good little essay from her. I'm sure many of you realise that a lot of these things, there's actually nothing new here, but there's a lot of coverage of things you might just have missed or make you think about. I'm also going to click on follow. Oh, right. I think I'm following already on another machine, no doubt. Sorry. Guess back to the job at hand. Right.
Little
Okay,
behind
magic.
the scenes action there.
Yeah, a bit of behind the scenes action here, yes. Magically, prescription lenses are now available and they only cost $250. I'm not quite sure what prescription lenses for ordinary spectacles cost these days? I think it would be probably more like probably $100 or something. So maybe
Hmm.
$250 is not really much more than prescription lenses are needed generally. Certainly, they look ridiculously cheap when you think that the actual Magic Leap itself is going to cost you more than $1,000, considerably more than $1,000 if I remember. So the cost of the prescription lenses, whilst $250 may sound like a lot to some, it's barely a trickle in the pond, as it were, compared
Hmm.
with the price of Magic Leap itself. But it's a good sense that they are thinking in that direction, and they're available through a company called Frames Direct. And Magic Leap claims that they're anti-reflective and compatible with the system's eye tracking features and very easy to install. But you will need a copy of your prescription from your optician, as well as your pupil distance measurement. And you also need to know which size of Magic Leap one you have. But I suppose that's all to be expected.
That's all pretty typical
So,
with glassware
yeah,
to have
that
those
particular article you will
statistics.
find. Oh yeah, yes, exactly. There's always more to it than you think. There's
Hmm.
distance here, and well, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You'll find the article about that's at engadget.com. That's engadget.com. And I'm sure it's been covered elsewhere. That's what the news tends to be, but that's where I got it from. So there you go. Right. Getting more up to date here. AR and VR 2018, a year in review. This is a post, which is exactly what it says it is, at vrscout.com. Suitable for reading anytime in the next 2 days, I would say. Thereafter, it will be the past year in review, and they'll have to retitle the article. Right. Oh dear. Never mind. Never mind. The future of virtual reality beyond videos and games. Um, that looks to me that's the same article at Hypergrid Business. Probably comes from a different source there. And oh yeah, hypergridbusiness.com again. Another writer that Maria's got on board there, Denise Wu, right, has an article called Oculus Beginner's Guide. So if you have got a contraption made by Facebook that you're willing to put on your head, then Hypergrid Business has the beginner's guide to tell you how to do it. It involves a kind of strappy thing and a bit of adjustment, and then you put it on. But more importantly, this beginner's guide goes a step further. It actually tells you how to get it working.
Hmm.
Would you believe?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the beginner's guide to Oculus, courtesy of Hypergrid Business. And oh, no, I have missed one. Therapists are using VR to treat mental health issues. This is not new, but various different parties are doing this. And this particular article, Alice Bonsanio again at vrscout.com. VR Scout, as in Boy Scouts, but all one word. Limbix is the name of this particular company, as in Limbix, as in limb. No, that's limp biscuits. Never mind, never mind. I'm trying to make a joke and can't think
Hmm.
what I'm joking about. Right, here we go again. Limbix, anyway, is building up immersive content that therapists can tackle phobias, depression, and anxiety. There are over 300 peer-reviewed studies that show VR is an effective tool for treating mental illness and anxiety in particular. So it sounds like Limbix is basically building up a content library on this subject rather than actually producing anything of their own. Although I may be wrong there. You can check out VR Scout for more information, of course. And for I was going to say finally, but in fact that did bring us up to date.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
so let me move to the box there that says Metaworld. Oh well, there's very little new here by the look of this, unless it. No, I've posted loads of stuff here.
Hmm.
Um, I recognise the astronauts from 2 years ago. I mean, sorry, two
two
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I should put it off to next week. I could say last year ago. No,
Oh, that works.
well, it doesn't actually, but
Very soon it will.
but it would be closer to
Mm-hmm.
grammatically correct if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 1 week ago, start creating in high fidelity using blueprint items. Yes, the and um, a link there. Right, Dream Grid, the Outworld Stream World self-hosted grid that people use from Fredericks has certainly had an update sometime in the last 2 weeks. Anybody who uses will get that automatically, but if you're considering hosting your own grid on the hypergrid and after you're downloading it, then you will be experiencing an updated version. And start creating in high fidelity using blueprint items. This is a good idea. They've basically for people that may be not so hot on creating stuff, myself included. I mean, I can just about cope with prims, but anything else starts getting, well, big learning curve at my age, put it that way. Um, these blueprint items actually do sort of half the work for you. In other words, you can buy these blueprint objects and things from the high fidelity store, and they're deliberately designed to be user configurable. In other words, you can edit components. In other words, not just change the color of a jacket or something like that, but quite extensive adjustments to the blueprint for the whole item. You're basically dealing with a form of mesh most of the time, which means it's for anybody who's used prims, it's not that simple. But the blueprint items actually take you sort of half the way there. For some reason, those are the only things showing up
Hmm.
in here. I know I've posted far many more things to this particular channel during the past fortnight. For some reason, Flipboard did not pick them up. So let's see what
Hmm.
else we've got here. We have my posts here. Right. I can't remember whether we have been on air actually, haven't we, since the Open Sim Community Festival, the Open Sim Fest, which is happening on the first, second, third of March next year, was announced at the Open Sim Community Convention, and if you this I think is just something I liked, as it were, at we might be able to experiment here actually. Here we go.
Yeah.
Listen freely. Well, there you go. That was a surprise, wasn't it? We actually
Mm-hmm.
got to show you. We got to show you the darn thing. Right. That clip is on our Google Plus too. That what you just saw is basically the trailer for the Open Sim Festival. I'm sure there'll be much more nearer the time. All we really got to see there was some of the build on the grid, basically, that be held on. It has its own grid. I think it's just called Open Sim Fest.
Oh.
Whether you can get there, yes, I'm not quite sure. They also have, for those of you who want to get involved, they have their own group on Discord, and Right, no, it's not called Selby. I'm talking
Nope.
in the wrong window. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had a group. Here we are. Right, the Discord group is called OpenSim Dash Fest. All one word, if you include the dash in it, if you see what I mean. So there's no spaces, just OpenSim Dash Fest, and you can look that up. And I think it's free to join. Though I know there are certain channels here that seem to be locked down until you're actually a registered attendee. But the actual server, I think you can get to. Um, anyway, and yes, if in doubt, just moan in the relevant channels. You have MeWe, you have Google Plus,
Mm.
you have Discord, you have Friendster. What else have we got here? Well, we have Friendster and we have Pluspora. That's the other one I was looking for. Yeah. Um, Etc. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. So where am I? I think I finished, haven't I? Yes, because that wasn't really much in there. As I say, follow me at Melbourne slash. God, I'm out of it today, aren't I? Follow me at twitter.com/Malburns, or follow us at twitter.com/Metaworld News, and you can find various links there. I think if you go to the Metaworld News one, you might actually find more than I actually had on screen. I think there's a glitch in my relay
Mm.
system, so to speak.
It
Who knows?
happens.
Who knows?
Yep.
It does happen. I have actually other ways of picking these things up, but whether now is the time to try it. Here we are, Twitter. Right, that's Melbourne's. Here we are, Mess World News timeline. Unfortunately, this includes, right, well, this is well populated. The only problem is it includes all the stuff coming in. Here we are, my tweets. Oh, yes, there's quite a load of them. Okay, nothing vital here. The Open SimFest announcements are part of it. There were some text press releases as well as that video. I think Science Space's Winter Festival is now over. Let me see. Dreamworld Sing again. Yeah, and there's a link to Inara Pay's blog, Living in the Modem World. It's a Tico link here. I think it's Modem World ME. That's MODEM, as in those old noisy things you attach to your telephones, and World, as in the big global thing that we're hanging on to for dear life. Yeah, Modem World .me, whatever, and I don't know actually what that link goes to. I mean, her blog is largely news about Second Life and things, but I certainly published one from her on. Well, this is December 12th. What kind of? This is out of. Okay, something's odd here. Right. I actually published one from her this morning, which was a year in review of AR and VR. I mean, she does write about Second Life, but she also writes about other things. So it's definitely a new post up from her that will be of interest to most people. I'm putting my darn little pop-up windows away because it seems to me that some of my little, widgets that collect my own streams together are kind of a bit behind on Metaworld News' site. So go figure. Anyway, this is not your problem. It is mine, and I should not be. I should not be on air here, if in and half in and hour in about it. What I should be doing is asking James for his opinion on anything I have covered. There we go.
All
Wriggling
right.
out of it.
That's right. That's a smooth transition indeed. I no comments, but we were talking prior to recording about an audience laugh track, and maybe we need some audience laughter to go along with our program.
Well, in the case of today's program, it will probably have tripled the length of the broadcast. Either that or whoever was running the laughter button would have not did not share my sense of humour.
Yep.
Lots of factors in that, but yes, indeed. Or of course, I could have the button myself under my own control, and I could just press it after every word,
That would be my vision.
and then
Yeah,
then we'd have a broadcast that was totally unsuccessful in conveying any news whatsoever.
it would be great. I would love it.
It would be good. Well, maybe we'll have a midweek. Well, we could do a midweek Metaworld Confuse.
Okay,
Let's call it Metaworld Confuse. Do
fine.
it midweek.
Yep.
Catch up on all the stuff that happens in the middle of the week, but intersperse it with so much laughter that we'll create a giggle fest instead of a news program.
If you're gonna go, you gotta go big.
Mm.
If you're gonna put a laugh track, it's gotta be big.
All right. Metaworld Giggles? I don't know. I mean, I do understand. I do try to be a bit humorous
Oh,
sometimes.
absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
mostly so self-effacing kind of humor. But I mean, we did have a show once we filmed in Second Life called The Grumpy Old Avatars,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd be amazed how bloody difficult it is to be funny when you want to be funny.
Yeah.
If it just falls out, fine. But you know, we'd have guests on and stuff like that, and they would. You know, some people were, you know, oh, I forget who they were now. Lauren Whalen, for example. You know, definitely a professional comedian. That's all he does in world, really, and you know, his show and stuff. Um, so he could come up with witticism in any conversation, but no, I guess they just couldn't do it. You know, it was hard enough if you just turned to them and say, "Tell us a joke," you know. But
Mm.
the whole idea is we were looking at the news and maybe not just news as such, but things happening, you know, in the virtual world, and we're trying to make comic narratives out of it, you know, by you know each taking a rather flippant view of that news item. And there were a couple of shows that were they're absolutely fine. I mean,
Mm.
really enjoyed it, and we had a live audience, so they were always pouring on, you know, and interfering in chat so we could respond. But there weren't that many of them that were really very good. And I know myself, and you know, I came unstuck on a lot of them. I just could not, you know, because I was piggy in the middle
Mm.
between Deuce and Slimmy, and any other guests around. And if I come unstuck, there's a big problem because that piggy in the middle hasn't got his finger on the buttons.
Mm. Yep.
And you know, I can't throw from one to the other, or you know, if I just can't think of the right cue, you know, on the spot,
Oh yeah.
it's difficult.
Yep.
But you are right. I mean, if we actually did a show like that and had a big red button prepared in advance, we can get away with anything, really, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
Just drown ourselves out and pretend we're being funny. Ha ha! This is Fixity, folks. Next time you switch on your bog standard TV and see a quiz show or comedy show or whatever, listen for the pipe laughter. And try and phase out the pipe laughter because the pipe laughter makes you laugh. Even if the pipe laughter is covering something that's particularly not funny. So if you can try and tune out from the pipe laughter, you will realise that a lot of the comedy shows on TV are not remotely comic at all. They've just got so much pipe laughter in them, you never stop laughing long enough for you to sit back and think, is this really funny? Because, of course, it isn't.
Yep.
And there is so much more that goes on in the television world you wouldn't believe. Right. Oh, the simpler life. Just have some cartoons on screen nattering, eh?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what we are. But we're not letting you into the secret. We will let you pretend that we are just cartoons talking on TV. Yes, much more to it, but we're not letting on. We're not letting on. The future is our secret, isn't it, James?
Yeah, that's right.
We're not telling them what's really going on with us cartoony people. But we have some tricks up our sleeves, do we,
Mm-hmm.
cartoony people? We can do things that you wouldn't necessarily credit cartoony people with being able to do. And we will be doing more of them, same time, same place next week, I
That's right.
think. Anyway, it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him for the last time in 2018.
Indeed. When we return, it will be the grand old year of 2019. which is still 1 year short of 2020, which has a nice ring to it.
Mm.
But at least we're 1 year closer to 2020. So we'll only have to do 52 more shows, and then we'll be in 2020. And that's a nice round number,
That
isn't it?
is. Yep.
Right.
I hope I
So we're
make it.
52. Yeah. So we're just 52 weeks to go till the year of 2020. I wish you all a very good week, and we'll see you again next week. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Bye bye.